Welcome back to the Average Reviews. I'm Tim.
And I'm Jonathan. And tonight we're closing out our regular season with a sequel that redefines what weird means in 80s horror. House 2, Second Story.
Yeah, the second story. Such a layered title. Honestly, one of the best sequel titles of the decade. It is clever, it is dumb, and it's kind of perfect.
And we're not tackling. Joining us once again is our good friend Rook, because if you're going to
Hello.
go dive into undead cowboys, Aztec skulls, and baby pterodactyls, you need backup.
Rook, glad to have you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for
Thanks for
having me
coming
back.
back,
I
dude.
appreciate it.
Yep. So, now for anyone who hasn't seen it or maybe forgot that this thing even existed, House 2 came out in 1987, just a year after the original House. But despite the title, it's not really a sequel at all.
Right. Totally different cast, new house, new story, and an even wilder tone. The director, Ethan Wiley, who actually wrote the first house, wanted to do something lighter, funnier, and more adventurous. He literally described it as Evil Dead 2 meets Indiana Jones.
And somehow it works without the Evil Dead levels of gore. It's close to what we got. It's part haunted house flick, part buddy comedy, part fantasy adventure. It's the kind of movie where you blink once and suddenly there's a zombie cowboy talking philosophy at dinner.
And the wildest part, it made money. Not a lot of money, but enough to prove that people in the 80s would watch anything with a skeleton and a synthesizer.
Hey, it's got charm. It might not be scary, but it's imaginative, and it's got that weird VHS era energy that makes it worth revisiting.
Which makes it the perfect pick to wrap up the regular season before we hit our 13 nights of Halloween.
That's right. October is here, and starting soon, we'll be dropping daily episodes as we count down to Halloween itself. This year's theme, folk horror.
We're talking creepy woods, ancient rituals, and movies that make you question if your neighbors are in a cult.
It'd make my neighborhood more interesting. But before we summon the spirits of October, we're cracking open House 2, the second story, a sequel that dares to be something.
And if you're watching live, hop into the chat. If you're catching the replay, drop your scores for House 2 in the comments, or better yet, use the link in our bio to submit your rating.
But seriously, watch this one fresh. You'll need to experience the chaos to understand the conversation.
All right, let's get weird.
Let's open up the second story.
Uh,
Yeah. All right. So, Jonathan, you want to kick off these conversations? I'll let you and Rook go first, and I'll kind of close this out. Does that work?
Sure, absolutely. So, starting with the story, the plot of this movie, how unique, compelling, and original is the story you just watched? For me, man, it's such a way better story than the first house, as we've already mentioned. They definitely put a lot more thought into writing in this one, I believe. Um, it's so much more fun. There's so much more substance, and it's a cohesive story. Whereas the first one was kind of off and on and kind of a shit goose. Um, so you've got Jesse McLaughlin, who you see at the beginning of the movie is being given up to some people by his parents and disappears, and his parents get killed by this entity we don't know, some dead looking cowboy. And then years later, here comes Jesse back to the house to, I guess he inherits it or some such. We don't really get much story on that really, but he shows up with his girlfriend. He's got this house. They're about to see what's going on, and turns out it's his birthday. His One of his best friends shows up out of nowhere in the middle of the night, and they're ready to celebrate, and they're having a good time. And Jesse's exploring the history of his family and learning more about what went on and his forebears, and learns that there is this mystical skull that's not the same as the one in these pictures that are published. And he's like, where is this skull? What's going on? And him and his friend decide to break who knows how many laws to dig up his great great grandfather who discovered this skull back in some part of the Aztec lands. Which then all hell breaks loose. And we come to find out that the house, in all its awesomeness, because if you watch the movie, it's a really cool house, amazing interior, but the house itself is actually a temple that channels forces, which we don't get that kind of story in the first movie about how that house got its weird shit going on. So it's great that we got that kind of set at the like early on in the film. And then with this crystal skull placed in its place, entities start coming out of the woodwork from different rooms and parts of the house to try and take the skull for themselves and battle to try and maintain peace and integrity and keep, Gramps, his great great grandfather Gramps, alive and keep things going to protect this skull and to keep things going. Man, it's a kick ass story. I love this one so much. Like I said when we were talking about in the first house review, I could pretty much talk about the entire layout of this film from beginning to end because it is such a huge favorite of mine. I'll let Rick, you go ahead and take it from there.
That's why you're kicking off the conversation.
No, it's fine. I liked it too. So I really, really enjoyed the skull plot line because it gives an explanation for the first movie and how it happens. Was it the Aztecs? And the Aztecs built things on ley lines. So these houses, I think, were built on these ley lines. They're all connected. I think these creatures can move from one house to another, from one realm and all that. Kind of let your imagination roam with that. So I really enjoyed the plot. Like I said, it really gave a reason for the first one, and it connected them both and allowed them both to exist at the same time. So, another house is probably going to be different than this one. Because it's experiencing a different point on the ley lines, so that's kind of cool. I enjoyed it very much. It was a good reason to get those people there. And the very beginning, like you were saying, when they were giving him up to be safe or whatever, giving him away. If you go back and watch that, it has a very. If they had stayed with that style of filming or whatever, because to make it look old, it gave it a very Cthulhu look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it gave me very Cthulhu vibes, and I loved that, contributing that quality to the house, because that happens in Cthulhu. The houses are sentient, and it made that connection for me, and it just lent more to the plot, and I loved it. It let my mind wander, and I liked it. I played with it.
Well, your mind definitely like making the connection between the first and second film, because with the houses being on ley lines and how they're kind of connected to the same extra dimensional network. That's not something I thought about,
right?
But that makes sense.
The forces of good and evil travel these lines of power, right? These mystic lines of power.
Yeah,
it's our fantasy world, so we can give it that. Maybe we want to add that to the mythos of the house universe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And because I'm watching it and I'm going, it kind of looks like Wiley was hired to do the rewrite of that Vietnam vet story in the first one. And he tested out some ideas that he had already been playing with. And then this was the full force of what he had been envisioning. And
of learned knowledge.
Yes. And that previous one was kind of a victim of being a rewritten story from someone else. And this one is his entire vision. He wrote it, he directed it, this was him. I was surprised to see the not same director, he directed this one. Sean S. Cunningham was producer, and Manfredini was back on music. So like there was a lot of connection between the films. But yeah, the story, as far as compelling as it is for me, I don't know that it's a super compelling story. I will say, though, that the great-grandfather narrative is a little bit more of an emotional punch than the first film had. First film tried, like we went into detail about how the son didn't need to be there. But this one had kind of a beautiful grandfather-grandson story that I was actually like, it was silly watching them get drunk together. Oh,
yes. That was my favorite part. He's like, back in my days, the stars were brighter. They were so bright you could hardly get to sleep. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so funny.
Oh, Gramps.
Yes, I loved when he's sitting there watching some black and white movie with Reagan, and he was like, that guy couldn't take it back in our day. He would have.
I just laughed so hard. It's like, if only he knew that had been president. Like, oh, geez.
Yes, and I'm like, the writer knew, but no one told Grandpa. But anyways, yeah, the story is much more cohesive than the first movie. It is much more, even though it's abstract and weird and goes crazy places, it's much more linear than the first movie. Like we're following this story. There's still some things that I'm a little bit, I don't quite follow, but I don't think they're super that important to the story in the overall scheme of things. So I was
Sorry.
surprised by this. No, I was. I mean, I'd already seen this, but this was a rewatch after 2 or 3 years, and it's a much. I didn't hate the first one. This one's just a much more enjoyable film.
Right. I think if you just kind of lean into it, and for this movie, you allow yourself to be immersed. You're finally allowed, and so you make it. I say make excuses for it, but you fill in the gaps for yourself. And I think they do the abrupt changes or whatever. That I think they do that to keep you discombobulated. I think that's a part of you're watching this movie, and I think they do things abruptly sometimes to keep you confused as part of the immersion.
That makes sense.
These quick changes that these characters are experiencing in the house itself, not only in just the behavior of the company that it brings, but the behavior of the house itself seems to change with these abrupt changes too, as you get closer to good or evil. If you notice, when evil has the skull, when bad guys have the skull, the house gets a little bit more grim, a little darker. And then when the good guys get it later, it kind of brightens up a little bit. So the house seems to react to who has possession of the skull.
Okay.
Man, you came ready for this one. You're telling us before, Rook, but I love it. I love it. All right, so let's go ahead, drop our scores on story and plot. Where are we at on this one, guys?
So between the relationship building, relationship fallout, each iteration of conflict with trying to keep the skull and from being lost and getting it back, and how it ultimately ends with them, going into this dimensional door to the Old West and just shrugging off modern day. It's this pretty awesome story, man. I gotta give it a 4.
I enjoyed it. I didn't quite give it a 4. I gave it a 3. I gave it a 3 because was it compelling? Not really, but kind of everything by this point in '87, things have kind of been done, but it made it took a thing that had been repeated and made it its own in a very good way, and for that I gave it a 3. It's 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm actually at a 3, and that's a great way to put it. It took something that's been done before and made it its own. And making that like Indiana Jones meets Haunted House movie, I feel that when I watch it. It makes sense. It checks out. It is less one or the other, and a true, like, it's a ghost adventure film with Aztecs in other rooms. Like, it's wild and somehow entertaining. So
And who would have thought from way back in '87 they knew that there was going to be an Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
I almost titled this episode Sean Cunningham and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but maybe that was a missed opportunity on my part. All right, let's jump into the characters. Jonathan, kick us off.
So, characters, man. You've got quite a cast of characters in this movie. One thing that I love so much is that this is a sequel. Once again, we have a member of the cast of Cheers.
Yes.
Included as story. John Ratzenberger as Bill Towner, the electrician / adventurer. We had Norm in the first one. Now we got this dude who's coming in. And it's such a wonderful 80s connection.
He's also Ham in Toy Story.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
I'm sure he's got quite a few titles to his belt, but every time I hear his voice, I go, that's Ham from Toy Story.
I believe he was Cliff in Cheers, the male guy.
Yep,
the male carrier.
Yeah.
The male guy.
I couldn't remember his name, so I'm glad you got it. But that's just a wonderful little kind of connection that they put in there that just makes me smile. But overall, your main character, Jesse McLaughlin, this artist who's coming out to his home he's inherited from his family, he's got his girlfriend who's big corporate music world, his buddy who's got a girlfriend, Charlie, in her his buddy Charlie and his girlfriend who's in a band trying to make it big and all this other stuff. And you got Bill Maher of all people in this film. A lot of people are hating on him right now, but back then he was still kind of annoying to a lot of people as a comedian and a show host. And there's so many other people. I mean, gosh, it's just nuts, man. But for Jesse as the main character, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just love that somehow Bill Maher leaves this movie with both chicks.
What the hell is that?
Must have been the contract.
Yeah, he leaves with 2 chicks, and then our main character is left with like a rescued Aztec human sacrifice.
And poor Charlie's got nothing but a weird little like dog worm and a prehistoric bird to
Yep.
play with. It was sad, dude. But either way, Jesse though is the main character. You know, not really knowing much about his family, getting this inheritance, and then learning about it, making this connection with his great grandfather Gramps, and building that relationship in such a short time. Because the movie starts on October 30th, the day before Halloween, you know, and everything just kind of goes crazy from there. And it's his birthday on top of that. So it's his birthday, all this stuff's crazy. He's still processing this information with his new family, or, you know, with his family past, and then, you know, making that connection with Gramps, and how everything falls apart with his girlfriend, and Charlie loses his lady, Bill Maher being a dick and wanting to punch him in the face so hard, but then ultimately coming out on top and winning and defeating all the evil and saving Skull, saving Gramps, even though he kind of dies again, which is sad. But, you know, he kind of shrugs off the modern day world and all the bullshit. It's like, you know what? It may have been tough in the West, but this is what we're going for. We're going to do it. And just says to hell with modern world. And that's awesome. I love the character arc for Jesse because, yes, he's just, let's go with all the pretentious bullshit and all these modern day trappings that feel like they're holding him down, seems like. Yeah.
I got the same vibes. I like the fact that the main character, it's a very good arc, and it's a complete arc from beginning to end because he starts off full of doubt, maybe a little aimless. And as he connects with his past through his grandfather, you know, he learns to kind of maybe be rough and tough like a cowboy, mixed with a little bit of modern times. And so his grandpa tells him, like, hey, sometimes maybe you just have to make your own path. Mm-hmm. And I think once he starts to kind of own his life, you can see him get confident as he overcomes these challenges that, you know, the house puts him through, or that evil puts him through ultimately, you know. And it's very cool. It seems like he learns about himself in very neat ways. And even though it happens fast, it's still believable. It's a people go through those sort of things. They go from being questionable and aimless to being, I'm got the machete out. I'm carving my own path. And they're very happy with that. So I think he found a very compelling life at the end, you know, the start of one anyway, the start of a journey. I would have liked to seen House 3 maybe continue, maybe where he went. Maybe they still can do that. They can revisit that note.
Fucking adventure time. Hell yeah.
Wouldn't that be House 6? I think there are 5 of them. Maybe
I don't know.
I would like to see the pterodactyl, like, maybe kind of fake it as a pink flamingo in the front yard.
There we go.
I can get away with it. That would be a good spoof to kind of throw in there. If for the directors and writers that are watching The Average right now, there you go. Because we know you all.
Yeah, the future directors of America. I also, along that pink flamingo lines, I want to see this puppy worm looks a lot like a caterpillar. So I want to see it cocoon and turn into its full form. So I want that out of the sequel.
A little Pokemon transformation going on there.
Yeah,
that would be like. Does it turn into like a flying cat or like a flying dog thing? Does it get wings? Like, that would be very interesting. I think people should know in the comments what they think the puppy dog would turn into.
A Cerberus butterfly.
Yeah,
there you go.
A Mothra dog.
Ooh, a Mothra dog. That's very Cthulhu as well. Man, I like that.
I would take that. I would take the Mothra dog. Yeah, I think the character arc is, I think it's much better. It's much clearer defined in this film than in the previous one. The first one was just kind of a jumbled mess. This one is jumbled, but it's not as messy. There's a lot going on here. I'm still a little bit lost on. I get like the whole his girlfriend or wife leaving thing seems very abrupt and sudden to me still. Like I know that one girl kissed him and was like, "Oh, hey," and it's like they never really got a moment to talk and figure that out. So that seems
Damn
a
it,
little
Rochelle.
it seems a little forced. Also, that's Lara Park Lincoln, like Friday the 13th New Blood, and she's amazing. But it would take a lot. It would take a lot. So I'm always a little bitter about that. And then she just kind of he's suddenly in love with this rescued girl from the past.
Not the virgin sacrifice.
Yeah, he takes the virgin sacrifice in the end.
Maybe it's because she doesn't know any better. I don't know.
It's a little weird that way. You don't know any better. You're mine. Like
we just saved you. We should probably take you back to where you come from if that's an option.
Just,
but yeah, whatever. You're stuck here now.
She's just thinking the maker nobody hit her over the head with a club,
right? Or ripped her heart out. Oh golly, ma, like Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah,
shit,
yeah.
You know?
So there's a little bit about that stuff that I'm just like, meh. I don't quite follow all of that. But I don't think this is the movie that you need to follow all of that. I don't think it needs to be spelled out beautifully for you to follow along. I do think, like you guys said, the great storyline here is the grandfather or it's great grandfather, isn't it?
Great grandfather.
Great.
Gramps is the man.
I'm calling him Gramps, the grandfather, the grandfather and his grandson.
Double OG.
Yeah. That's the real story here and I love the way Rook said it, kind of looking back and learning from his ancestors and kind of applying the modern knowledge that he has now and forging his own path forward. I think that is the highlight of this movie, is that storyline. Honestly, I would take that over the Crystal Skull stuff. I just think the Crystal Skull stuff is an excuse for things to happen. But the grandfather, the grandfather is the story here, I think. The grandfather also reminds me of, and this is probably vice versa, he probably inspired the movie The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Oh.
From Peter Jackson. There's like an old prospector type character.
Oh yeah.
In that movie that reminds me a lot of the grandfather from this one. It's also a very similar vibe, kind of that horror comedy thing. But yeah.
For real. Absolutely. So yeah, there was a lot going on here, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Are we okay? Dropping scores on character. How compelling was the character's arc?
Mainly Jesse and Charlie for most, but mostly Jesse and Gramps. I'd give this thing a 5, dude. 5.
I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I gave it a 2.
You can change it.
But I have to say, as we get dialogue about it, I want to change it to at least a 3. I like it.
Okay.
But if people are wondering what's happening, my scorecard's on my phone, and I don't read up close with my glasses on. So what's that guy doing? I'm not crazy. I'm blind.
It's all right. I am also a 3 on it too. It's not. I can't say it's super compelling for me, but I do appreciate the grandfather grandson storyline quite a bit. There's some holes in it that I would like answered, but I don't think they're necessary to have filled. So for me, I think it's a good character arc. I definitely think what did I give the other one? Yeah.
Oh, I know. I didn't like the first character arc in the first movie.
No, you gave the previous movie a 1, so that's an improvement. Yeah.
By far.
All right, music and sound. It looks like I gave them both a 3. I was too nice on the first one.
Yeah.
Uh, music, and maybe in that perspective, I should bump this one up to a 4. If I gave the first one a 3, I should bump this one up to a 4 because it
I'm not
is
going to be
better.
mad at that.
Okay. All right. So then let's go music and sound design. So as I said, Manfredini was back for this.
Hell yeah.
And Jonathan, you want to take it away?
So I'm glad it's the same person working on music because you still get the same kind of vibe and tone with that
Right.
background music, with the score and everything. Stuff seemed a little more fresh, a little newer for the music in this one, and I think it sets better tone. And I don't know, the sound design itself, I think, is the big winner here versus the music in itself. The sound design, there was so much going on with sound effects in this thing, and it's kind of hard to ignore that. And I love that about it. It's not like over the top awesome and amazing, but they definitely, I think they got really good experience from the first one that carried over to make this one way better with how they did the score on this one.
For sure.
Yeah.
When it came to sound, when you keep the same guy, I think I even kept the same score. I gave it a 2. There's nothing memorable. As I was listening to the music while watching it on purpose, and I kept getting lost in the story, and the music just would seem to kind of go away. That doesn't mean it was bad. It just means it was in the background and it was appropriate, but it didn't really stand out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, the music was not a character.
Oh, I echo that sentiment completely. So the only thing that stood out for me, I think it was in the opening scene, the historical moment. I think was that a cello playing that sounded really good.
There were some violin parts in there, like a fiddle violin going on in there
Okay,
with the
yeah,
string action, and I
there
think that was a big part of setting the tone
for that
music
opening
was.
scene for sure. I thought that stood out, and I was like, "Oh, Manfredini stepped it up this time." And then that was the only part that stood out. After that, it was more of the same.
Oh, you didn't
More of
like
the
Pew
same.
Splits and the whatever the fuck they are?
Let's be honest. I would probably listen to Pew Splits. I would probably put that on.
I like how they were all sneaky with trying to get them to listen to it. They
Yeah,
manipulated that scene. I was like, oh wow, but people do that.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's like
pretty clever.
they knew Kate was in the music biz, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking try and make this shit happen."
Yep,
TikTok right there. Just telling the future in 1987.
yeah. Back when you had to go to somebody's house, play your mixtape for them, and just be like, "Oh, I was just listening to myself." Yeah, that's me. The sound design does help this movie out a little bit, but Rook, you actually stepped up your score from the first movie. You gave the music and sound design of the first movie a 0.
Well, maybe it's because this music didn't damage the movie.
I would say this music is better because I think tonally this movie's better. The last one was all over on tone, the music was all over on tone, and I think it was trying to echo the movie. This one I think is more appropriate to the movie.
I would think a cool thing to do for audience members is to go back and digitally remaster these movies with up to date sound effects and try to get like the tones and the frequencies that we know about today and insert those into the movie, but keep all the other stuff. Just change the sound and see if it does anything for folks.
There have been some movies that I would like. Some movies are great. There are some movies that I want to go back and remove all music and then put in my own like soundtrack. Let's slip in this song, like I think personally it just make it more fun for me. But but I've thought about that like, oh, how can I get a Motley Crue song in the party scene of this movie? That's what I want to do. But all right, scores for music and sound design. Rook, you had said yours was a 2.
Two.
Jonathan,
I'm a 3.
I am a 3 as well. I thought it did a good job setting the scene, but there's nothing memorable happening. And I will say the sound design helped it out a bunch. All right, editing and special effects.
So yeah, I liked the editing on this one. As even though as rapid as things went in the story from one scene to the next, I liked the way that they cut it all together. I think they did a good job on this one. The special effects itself, though, it's not too dissimilar from the effects that we saw in the first one, but somehow still seemed better, if that makes sense. Um, Between like when they go into the jungle setting in the room from the big barbarian that steals the crystal skull, like the
See, we need
giant
Welcome to the
mole
Jungle
thing.
playing. We need.
Dude, that would have been so rad. That would have been fucking amazing. But that giant mole thing that comes up and eats the barbarian, that thing was insanely awesome. I love that thing. It looked so
Yeah,
good.
it was kind of terrifying.
Yeah, that baby was just huge. So anyone sees that, they're definitely gonna shit a brick. But stuff like that, the giant bird's flying. Even when the bird comes down and steals the skull out of his hand, looked pretty well. And just from that point, even once they bring that thing into the house out of the room from the jungle, that pterodactyl baby, still good puppetry and like animatronic work on that thing. I think it worked great. Even your little dog caterpillar thing, there wasn't too much movement on it, but still had enough kind of like lifelikeness to it that it was fun and enjoyable to see that kind of squirming, worming around, being puppy and playful like. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. Just the rest of it, man, like you got a little bit of smoke effects, shadow effects stuff going on there. Um, I think they did a really good job on this part of it. I think the special effects this were way more enjoyable than what we had in the first one. And Slim Razor, our main antagonist, Gramps' nemesis from back in the day that he killed, like his whole makeup set and everything versus the soldier from the first one, man, so much more detailed, so much more awesome, and there was more movement, and just seemed grittier and darker and just way more fucking badass. Gotta love that.
I love the effects. The first thing I commented on my thing was puppets. I love puppets.
Yes,
They're so much fun, and these guys did such wonderful work. And it looks like they learned a lot from the first movie, and they had a good time with their budget, and they hired the right people that made the right puppets. The puppets made it for me. I like shows like Fraggle Rock and things like that.
Oh, hell yeah.
It speaks to the kid in me, and this is perfect. And the puppets kind of alleviates horror, I think, for children because the adults can appreciate the puppets and realize that yes, a pterodactyl is dangerous, but children, if they watch this movie, they might be scared by some of the horror effects, but I think the puppets would kind of make them laugh a little bit. So you could maybe let your children watch this at an earlier age for horror movies before you would maybe any other type of horror, a good introduction comedy horror to introduce them to these effects.
Yes.
But I love the puppets. I love practical effects. And that big thing that came out in 8, the barbarian guy, was, just like they did really good on one creature in the first one, the creature in the closet that came out. I feel like they spent a good amount of their budget making that monster horror. They did a good job of making it look like they spent a good budget on that. But these guys, great job, great work. I enjoyed the practical effects. They did it very well. It made it for me.
So there is a reason why the practical effects in this movie are, I want to say, better. They were done by Chris Wallace of Gremlins and The Fly fame.
Hell yeah.
So, and as far as I know, he was not the only one working on Gremlins and Fly, obviously, but
when you mention it, I can see his touch in the Caterpillar Dog and Gremlins. They have a similar quality to them now in my mind.
Yeah, they do. But he designed much of the creatures, the makeup and effects for this film, and they call it the Catter Puppy. It's a Catter Puppy. So that's what that is. But you guys mentioned the puppetry. I thought the stop motion was awesome. I love seeing some stop motion mixed in with practical effects. And I know, like, you can usually spot it, but it's so cool to see because it gives such a unique, like, texture almost to the film. It comes across so different. But I really liked the stop motion effects in there as well. Like when he's doing the Jack and the Beanstalk impersonation and climbing up to the baby pterodactyl, and I was impressed with it. It doesn't look great, but I'm sitting there going, I don't know how they did it. So that's point for me. I can tell it's fake, but I also have no idea how I could recreate it. So props to you on getting it done. So good job. Yeah, the effects in this movie, again, I think it was just a clearer vision for this film helped. We don't have a overly made up uh, female ogre looking creature and following up with a music montage. Like we don't have that happening in this film. So much cleaner
tools.
Yeah, my ultimate complaint that brings it down for me is I did not care for the editing. A lot of those like swipes from one scene to the next, and I don't care for that effect ever. Uh, well, I shouldn't say ever. It rarely makes sense.
It works in Star Wars.
It's somehow, and he uses a lot of weird ones in that, and I'm pretty sure in like the second one, Attack of the Clones, there's like a radial wipe at one point. Like I don't. Star Wars gets away with it.
Was Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I was going off of the official timeline second one.
That's because you're not an Xer.
No, I was 8 when Phantom Menace came out, and I thought it was the best movie ever made, and now I can barely watch it. It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. But anyways, I didn't care for a lot of the swiping edits. There were a lot of them in this movie. So I'm at a 4 on the editing and special effects.
4 puppets.
Last but not least, though, the makeup effects for Gramps though were fucking solid.
They were.
Yes.
The mobility and the texture, the color, everything. As a man who's been dead for over 70 years, rotting in a grave, he looked so damn good and kicked so much ass. That just fantastic look. Gotta appreciate that. For me, like this is a film that I really fucking love. So you're gonna hear me say it multiple times probably, but this category, I give a 5 on this one.
Hey, I'm glad you love it. I love seeing that. Okay, on to the script.
So yeah, the script. I think there was some great dialogue in this. I liked how they wrote this one out. By the way they wrote the scenes and how they connected. They did such a good job on this one. But it's just like I said, primarily it's the dialogue in the script for me that I love. There's so many jokes and jabs in here that you can't help but not appreciate it. That just, man, so damn good. So I mean, I don't really have too much I can say because I'm so hyped up on this film. But Rook, I know you got way more to say probably.
So on the script, the first thing I wrote down was, eh. I mean, yeah, you had an idea, cool, but I think what really made the script come to life was the acting and all that. I think that really gave the script life. I think the script on its own, if you were reading a book, you'd be like, "What? Okay, wait, what? I don't." It just wasn't compelling. A lot of the things these people said, I was like, "Why are you saying that? Why didn't you say something different that would have conveyed way more information?" But I'm like, I don't know. But I don't. I have the knowledge of all these movies in my head, having seen them, so I get to judge it from that lens. Unfortunately, like, man, I've heard it so much better in other movies, forgetting that this movie was written in '87.
Yeah.
So I think that's when I watched this one, I think I missed that one. I think I got that one through the wrong lens, but I don't think it changes my score very much. I just wasn't very impressed.
Okay.
Oh.
I will say where the first movie, I believe I'm on record saying it doesn't make me laugh at all and there's no memorable jokes. I did laugh at a couple of the jokes in this movie. I did find this one to be funnier. One of my favorites was Bill, the electrician guy,
Yeah.
when he rips a hole in the wall.
With the Geiger counter.
Yeah, he rips a hole in the wall, pulls him back over. He goes, "There it is. Looks like you got some kind of alternate universe in there." He's so
He's so
casual.
fucking casual. The
Yeah,
delivery is amazing, dude.
it
Holy
is
crap.
so.
Almost very Cthulhu mythos, where the electrician just happens to know about the weird things.
It is so nonchalant that I thought that was hilarious. His entire sequence, I actually thought stole the movie, because even when they're in there fighting off the Aztecs, and he's like, "I'll hold him off, you guys go," and they're like, there's an exchange, and he's like, "Oh, it's my kid's little league night, I'll be fine," and then they pop out, and he's and like, it's just the little stuff like that that I actually thought this was much funnier. Also, the human sacrifice is just referred to as Virgin. That is her character name. But there's also that brief exchange. Like, Charlie goes, "Is she really a virgin? Because I've never seen one before."
God, it's so ridiculous but funny.
It's like there are little things like that that I'm like, that is better than the first movie. There's not a lot. It's not endlessly quotable. But then we also get some nuggets of wisdom from Gramps that are snuck in there nicely. I think their bond somehow feels natural, even though it is, he says he's been waiting 170 years for someone to dig him up. I think they did that pretty well. So I'm much nicer on the script for this one than I was on the previous. Well, I shouldn't say much nicer, but I am nicer on it. So I'm a 3 on the script. I thought the script for this film was good. It made me chuckle.
Deuce.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a 4 on this one.
All right. We got 2, 3, 4. We're covering the bases. All right. Acting.
Acting is great in this movie, way more so than the first one. And like we were just talking about with Bill, our electrician adventurer, John Ratzenberg, dude, fucking God, that dude just delivers it so awesomely. You
He
can't help but
steals
appreciate
it.
the shit out of that dude. He's so damn good, man. Bill Maher, guy, he's like I said, as a record executive, president, whatever he is of the company, he plays a wonderful asshole. He does it such a great job that you can't help but love to hate him. And he does a great job of it, and I think most people kind of feel about that way about him in real life anyway. So
I was
think
going
it's
to say
pretty
that
easy.
is it all that different from his real personality?
Right? But yeah, but Jesse though is God, what was his name? Fucking Ayer Gross, Airy Gross. I'm not sure. Arye. I'm not sure how to pronounce that first
Yeah,
name, but
R-Y.
yeah, I'm not used to that name, so it's unfamiliar to me. But him as Jesse though, I think he did a really great job as our main character with everything that he went through, taking his beatings, still coming up on top and learning to be tough and handle his shit. Man, like he really did a wonderful job. Charlie as a best friend who's this goofy, kind of like butthole, but still fun, trying to just have a good time. And his connection with Gramps when they were out doing their thing, teaching Gramps how to drive and being drunk out in the fucking woods looking at the stars, just having a wonderful time. It's all just good, friendly, awesome fun, even though it's supposed to be a scary movie. But everyone all around, I think, man, was really good. Kate, though, as the girlfriend, man, she did a wonderful job, like overreacting without getting any information from his side of things. There was so much contrast back and forth between, you know, especially with Jesse and Charlie, with Jesse trying to be like, dude, what the hell? And then being like, you're my best friend. I need to rely on you, be my backup, yada, 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 all that stuff. And then, of course, Jesse and his relationship with Gramps and how they build that in such a short time and how touching it is at the end, when he finally goes. There's so much there with that. And that, man, just, yeah, awesome.
I felt sometimes the acting was a little silly for me, and it took me out of the movie. It broke my immersion. It's funny, Jonathan, I like this because you and I have a different opinion on the electrician. He bothered me. He was so silly.
Really?
It took me out of it every time. As a specific example, and this might just be me, and again, obviously it's my opinion. So when he had the screwdriver and he goes over and he taps the light bulb and it broke, and I was
Ah,
like, of course it broke.
must have been foreign made.
It's
Oh.
foreign made.
And I was like,
Dude, come on, dude.
that first of all, that joke felt forced, but it was just I don't know. There was just something about the way it was done, and he just felt silly the whole time. And I don't know if his character was designed for that, because in the class of like heroes, or in the class of characters, we clearly had the hero, we had the person of old wisdom, and double OG Grandpa there. I don't understand where the Cliff character was. It was like, what's happening? Because we had a fool in his best friend that came for his birthday. I was like, okay.
Mhm.
Charlie was a fool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where is this? Is this another wisdom guy? Is this a strange traveler? I don't understand. I didn't understand, for me, where he fit in. The Geiger counter thing was weird too. I thought that was funny, but I was
It
like,
was weird.
yeah. And it was just, it felt, I don't know if he was meant to feel strange, his interactions with everything. But every time I watched him, in this specific example, it just seemed so silly and it took me out of it. I was like, I don't, okay. It's a comedy, but that style of comedy is not for me. And I'm okay with it, but there was too much of that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Uh, yeah, the whole acting, I thought, for this film, every performance leaned much more into the comedy universe than to a horror movie acting. I thought it was more comedic timing when it comes to the performances. Uh, it wasn't particularly remarkable. I was surprised to see that this was prior to Lara Park Lincoln being in Friday the 13th. I think this was the year before she was in Friday the 13th. So I kind of thought Friday the 13th was, I think it was still considered her big. But she also, like, somehow I did not get the impression she was a high schooler in this movie, but they made her like a believable high schooler a year later. But yeah, and she was great. She died this year, but yeah. But I don't have a whole lot to say on the acting. I always just forget that Lara Park Lincoln is in this, and I love her. So when she comes on, I'm like, hey, yes! And then I always forget that she leaves halfway through the movie and we never see her again. So for the acting, I'm a 3.
I gave it a 2.
Oh, I'm a 4.
All right.
You covered the bases in the middle again.
Yep.
It's going to be truly average.
Yep. The direction, Jonathan.
I like reoccurring gags and stuff, and the fact that they had 3 times in this film where cars pull up and they hit that big giant stone carving in the driveway just made me chuckle a lot. So having that sense of comedic relief continuous throughout the movie, even though like from one tense situation to the next, and then frustration from the characters and being like, oh, what the hell, and just like boom, break, boom, knocking over again. It's like, what the hell? I love that kind of stuff. It's subtle, but it's funny, and it's good times. Other than that, I don't know. I suck at this part. So, Rook, you go ahead.
I felt it was really good. I think the director allowed his cast to enjoy the parts that they had, and you can tell every actor, Grandpa totally enjoyed himself. All the creatures and everybody involved in the creatures clearly enjoyed being involved in the movie. And I think the director did very well at like morale cohesion. And I think that leans a lot into helping the movie be what it is. People had fun with it. And you can tell. And when people have fun with it, there's something about you that comes through. and it should convey that, and your audience should feel it. And I felt it. I felt that everyone had a good time, and only the director can do that. It brings everyone together. He's the director. He's like the conductor of the symphony.
Yeah.
And so I think he did a really good job of, even though like I didn't like the electrician character very well, the actor, I forget his name, but he honestly enjoyed it. And that's only because he was directed by the director to do it. Like maybe he said, find it and explore it. And the director allowed him to do it. And it was great. The director clearly listened to its cast and etc. There's going to be commentary somewhere. They're like, they argued all the time.
Knockdown, drag out fights.
Yeah, it just seemed like the director did a good job of directing the crew, the cast, listening and responding. Things were much more coherent on all aspects, behind the scenes and everything, and it shows in the output of the movie.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think the cohesion of this movie feeling a lot more like a singular vision than the first one is the director carrying that on his shoulders. I think he executed it much better. This idea of a horror comedy adventure, he carried that idea. On paper, that doesn't work. I can't imagine sitting in a pitching room going, I have this idea that is Evil Dead 2 meets Indiana Jones meets Abbott and Costello. Like, it's not going to, I don't.
Tell me more about it. There's going to be a caterpillar and a puppy. We're going to shove them together.
And there's going to be a 170-year-old zombie, but he's a good guy. And there's like, I can't imagine that unless you have a director with a very focused vision for what they want. There's no particular flair. Yes, fun. Because there is no particular flair to the movie. There's no really impressive shots. There's no really like dynamic lighting. It's all pretty basic because the focus seems to be on having a good time. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to go track down every...
Your audience will too.
Yeah, exactly. They'll sense that, like you said.
Yeah, people need to mirror that. That's why we watch movies. Our mirror receptors allow us to feel fear because we see people in danger and things like that. We love it, and we challenge ourselves that way.
Yeah.
Movies are very, very important to our lives.
And Ethan Wiley, so this was his first film that he directed. He wrote the first House movie, or rewrote the first House movie, but then he wrote and directed this one. His next movie is connected to our next episode with Rook. But he did not direct this movie until 11 years later. He directed Children of the Corn 5, Fields of Terror.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
So that was his next movie. He followed this one up 11 years later with Children of the Corn 5. So
bring the popcorn.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm running out to the local video store to grab that one, in all honesty. But I just thought that was interesting. He was also listed to work in the special effects department on Empire Strikes Back.
Huh. Okay.
You mean the second Star Wars?
Yes. Yep, the second Star Wars film. So I think that's super fascinating. But yeah, I gave the direction a 3.
I gave it a 3 as well.
I want to point out, I was looking at some stuff online, and there's some stuff that I've never noticed, so I got to go back and watch to see it. But apparently there's just a lot of spots where there's like crew or equipment visible. Like when Bill enters the house, there's supposed to be a dolly track that's visible for like 30 seconds. When Gramps turns off the TV, you're supposed to be able to see the crew reflected in it. And then when Jesse's trying to get the skull from the bird's mouth in the kitchen, they're supposed to be able to see the puppeteer in like the lower right corner of the screen and stuff like that. It's like, man, I see it's on here, but man, like, how do I not notice that shit?
That scene is coming up soon because they just crashed back into reality.
Oh yeah, through the basement
I'll check.
Ceiling.
There were a couple times with the catter puppy that I could see the arm, like when Gramps is laying on the floor at the end and the catter puppy comes up to him, you can see like the arm from this
Oh,
angle
really?
behind.
So
Yeah.
I
Wow.
didn't see. I didn't notice that either.
I didn't
Jeez.
notice any of that. I really was just having a good time watching the show. And guys, puppets, and the catter puppy and the pterodactyl. Every time they were on the screen, I was just like, the detail and the skill it takes to get these things to act, to animate, is amazing. Those puppeteers, I mean, they're skilled,
Oh
and
yeah.
they did a great job. So
Hell yeah.
I wasn't looking for flaws, and that's a wonderful thing to say about this movie. I wasn't looking for flaws. I was looking to be entertained.
No, I
And
do think that is a wonderful thing that you don't notice those on first watch because you are kind of captivated by these puppets' performances. Those puppeteers bring him to life really well. So I echo that. But yeah.
so
And the
yeah.
first
With that
time I
being
watched
said,
The Ring, I found a crewman in the background.
oh really?
Oh yes, my first
Okay.
time. So sometimes I do. When the first time I watched The Scorpion King too, there's a crewman dead center in the middle of the screen, and when one time, and it's
how do they
I
not
heard.
catch how do they not catch that in editing?
I don't
I don't
know.
know, but I was writing for a newspaper at the time, and it was the like a media pre-screening, and I didn't know it at the time, but the director was sitting behind me, and I said that to my editor out loud during the film. I said, "Look, there's a crewman," and Robert was like, "Stop, stop, stop!" I was like, "What?" I didn't know at the time, but yeah, it was. But it's there.
See,
Okay.
you're the expert here. You did this professionally.
Awesome.
I just
So
happened to notice it, but I mean, getting paid doesn't mean I notice it every day.
yeah, right. But despite all that, my score was a 3 on direction.
We are unanimous then. Okay,
Excellent.
it factor, cultural significance of this one.
So I don't know how much of an impact there really is on this because I mean, there's plenty of movies out there with haunted house stories, but this one uniquely is more in the comedic sense of a haunted house. Um, but I mean, it did spawn 2 more sequels, which I have never seen. I never cared to. I heard they were horrible, so I never bothered. But maybe I will eventually go watch, the third and fourth one.
We should find some sort of reason to watch them, Jonathan. I think we should.
Well, curiosity, I don't know. I can't really say that I'm curious, but just to know what they're like, to see if there's any correlation or kind of connectivity between the first two and the third and fourth films, might be worth a watch. I don't know. I'm just
The
kind of spitballing it there.
the third one is supposed to pick up on our original guy from the first movie.
Okay, because like I said I didn't know that because like I just didn't care. I don't know because the
Exactly.
two was so awesome. I'm like, there's no way anything after this one in this franchise could be better. So I just never had a desire really to watch the third or fourth one. But as far as comedic horror goes, I think it definitely has a special place in that genre. And because I mean, we get so many other films that are amazing comedic horror that have spawned many franchises, like Scary Movie. God, there's like
Mhm.
what 6 films in that franchise?
And a new one coming out.
Oh
And
no,
I love it.
shit!
I
Yeah.
love it when they make fun of themselves, and that's what they're doing. And because who doesn't? Like, you have to make fun of yourself every once in a while, or else your ego goes crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to occasionally be embarrassed. You only need to be embarrassed really, really well one time, and then it just never happens again.
Yeah, it's kind of
Seriously,
hard to
it
care
wears
after
off,
that.
man. It's really cool. It's what allows me to sing karaoke. I
Hmm.
didn't really have that stage fright. I was like, you know what? I've been embarrassed before. If I'm bad at this, no one's going to remember. Who cares?
Yeah.
And I've been having a wonderful time ever since.
Hey, you do a great
That's
time at
good.
karaoke, bro.
I
You always do a good job.
Yeah, you've
You
helped me
have
learn
fun
a
with it.
lot too. So I mean, I've loved exploring music with everybody, and so yeah,
Nice.
Rook, your it factor.
I gave it a 3.
Okay.
It was great. I'm sorry, but yeah, I gave it a
No.
3. It's,
Okay.
it lands for me. It's memorable. It's enjoyable. If you remember when we were doing the first one, everybody was like, "Oh no, that was the second one."
Yes.
the it factor was definitely better. And like I said, the I'm going to bring it back to the puppets again. Puppets do it for me. It
You like
works.
what you like. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you. It made it memorable for me, and it's a part of it's not as classic as like Rocky Horror, but
Yeah.
there are aspects of Rocky Horror that different people find different, and this just works for me, and that gives it the it factor. It's the beginning of puppets and those type of effects in horror movies, and without these people, we would not have the practical effects we do today. That's not so
Mhm.
CGI overladen that you just get pixel fatigue. I just invented a new word. I claim it. Pixel fatigue. We are pixel fatigued with CGI.
Yeah, I'm certainly
Bring back
pixel
practical
fatigue.
effects. Fuck yeah.
Please,
More of that shit.
please, or find a good balance, please.
Which
Someone talented enough, get in there and wow us, please.
speaking of, I'm really curious to see if he stuck true to this, because I know it's not entirely true. But Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein coming out on Netflix, he said he wanted practical. He like, there was a quote going around online, "Give me practical effects." So we'll see how much of that, it may have been practical in camera and then touched up after,
Right. But
but
he's very good at what he does.
Oh,
he
yeah, he's
is.
always had great practical effects in a lot of his
He
stuff.
knows how
Well,
to engage an audience. So
he's also had great CGI effects. I mean, the first like Pacific Rim movie looks better than half of what's being released today. It's so, like, first Pacific Rim movie is fantastic, and that's probably his most commercial effects movie. He's excellent. So we'll
yeah,
see
he's
how Frankenstein
very good
goes.
with kaiju. That's really awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I gave it a 3 on the It Factor because this is the movie that people know. This is the one that people talk about. This, I almost went lower because this one didn't inspire a theatrical sequel or a direct sequel. It didn't really inspire. There was a straight to VHS sequel that went back to the original story. And I'm like, is that this movie's fault? Not really.
No.
So I still gave it a 3 because widely considered the best house movie is the second one. So, and I would have to, without seeing the other two, I'm going to say it's a pretty safe bet to say that, yeah, this is the best house movie. So
yeah.
I'm 3 on It Factor. All right.
Well, then we're hitting the trifecta because I'm a 3 as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think the three of us could write a very convincing new house movie script,
Oh,
especially learning all the
still
stuff
rewrite the
that we're
first one.
finding, talking to each other, and it'd be cool.
let's write the official House 3 where we take that ley lines idea and we connect the two stories through the alternate universes, and somehow they stumble into each other. Decades later, we're on the next generation of kids. The kid from the first movie is an adult now. He's inherited the home. We can do this. We can.
Dude, there's such a story there. There's a story there. Fuck yeah.
There's going to be a transformed Caterpuppy. I tell you that.
There's going to. I was going to say butter puppy, butterfly, but that doesn't. Puppy fly. But that doesn't flow quite as well. But
so in the beginning, as a Caterpuppy, it's more caterpillar than puppy. But when it transforms after its chrysalis, it comes out as more puppy. Like maybe it's a puppy with wings, like butterfly wings or something.
I'm trying to. Would it be hilarious if the wings were like too small to actually fly? He just has little pointless wings that flap instead of a tail. He gets excited and his wings
really
go.
Gross because butterflies drink through their feet or they eat through their feet. So you could add a horror effect to that, and it would be a good guy because it's been with on the hero side or the side of good for so long.
Oh yeah, so it defeats the enemies by just jumping on that shit and feet sucking.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
I mean it sounds ridiculous.
With the dog face.
It sounds ridiculous, but is it in any other movie?
No, it's a guard.
That I'm aware of.
It's a guard dog.
Yeah, and you're getting the sciencey people. I wouldn't really call myself sciencey.
I love that. All right.
Nerd
Well,
like I am.
we are working on a House 3 script. So, Sean Cunningham, if you're out there and want to help produce this, we're
Or
going
technically
to.
a House 5.
How many cast members of Cheers is left?
We can get Woody Harrelson.
Oh, please, Woody Harrelson.
But he would be a good fit. Woody Harrelson. Jonathan, we're going to get Woody Harrelson for our movie.
Woody Harrelson? No Ted Danson? Oh, wait,
We
is
could
Ted
get.
Danson still alive?
We've got both. We could probably make Ted Danson work too.
Get Ted
but
Danson
Kelsey
and Woody
Grammer's still
Harrelson?
alive.
we got quite a few to choose from.
Yeah, there you go.
Frasier.
Yeah. He just did a new season of Frasier, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
they had a reboot. Yeah, or not a reboot, but a
and
continuance.
someone else could be a really good producer then too.
I like it. I like it. Okay. How entertained were you? Final thoughts, final score out of 10, and then we'll get our average in there.
Well, you know how I feel about this movie. You know I fucking love this film.
You haven't said that yet.
No, have I not? Have I not?
No, no,
Okay.
Haven't
But I do
even
love this film.
expressed it bodily.
no.
Not.
But I'm a 10. I'm a 10 on this film.
Wow.
I gave it a 7.
I
loved it. The puppets.
Go I am a 7 as well. This is a much more. I said the last one is like I didn't hate it, but it's a background movie that you don't have to pay attention to. This one is also a background movie that sucks you in. You start to pay attention to it. You can put it on in the background and you're going to find yourself being like, oh,
What is
Okay.
that noise?
yeah, what are they doing? And it sucks you in, whereas the other one kind of turns you off after a while. This one pulls you deeper into that story, and it's entertaining, and it's a fun watch. I'm not going to put it on again immediately. There's going to be some cushion between watches, but I'm never disappointed with my time with this movie. So it is a 7 for me. So where does that take our totals, guys?
Somewhere good.
Mine wound up at a 29 after the 1 point adjustment.
Oh, I forgot to add mine up.
Well,
And-
yours is
To I gave it a 10, or agrees with the 10.
My sister, she knows what's up, man. She knows what's up.
If we had our full score, we could get the average in. You, Jonathan, you were 41.
Boosh. All right.
And
Wow.
then I was actually a 35. So if we divide those three,
2, 3, and a 4.
yeah, if we divide those three, we end up with 3.5 or 35. So 3.5 stars out of 5.
Appropriate.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's totally appropriate. I want to compare just for funsies.
Oh, we're way above versus the first one.
Oh yeah. So Rook, your total score for the first one was 14 points lower than you were tonight. You were 15 for the first one. Jonathan, you were 39 for the first one, 41 tonight.
I probably should score the first one lower.
I was 27 for the first one, and then 33 tonight. So I was 6-point difference on tonight. But yeah, I think 3.5 lands this one at exactly the right spot. 3.5
Right.
out of 5 stars.
And I think we agreed on the first one as well, that it landed in just the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a difference puppets make.
it is. It is. What?
Sucker for puppets, everybody. Like this guy and the puppets.
See, you're excited about the puppets. I would say the difference between having a clear vision of your final product, that just tonally for me,
Yep. Like I
so
said
much
before,
different.
the director clearly was entertaining himself, and it entertained me as a result.
Yep.
A question for you, Rook. Since you love puppets so much, did you ever watch the Happy Time Murders?
Yes.
Did
Okay.
you love that?
I liked the puppets. The
Of course.
content was a little overboard for me.
Okay. That's fair.
Um,
It was
I
really
like
out there. It was
puppets,
wild.
but I'm not going to watch like puppet porn.
Puppet
That
jigs,
is
like
fair.
silly string
That
going
is fair.
everywhere.
And
Oh.
I'm not saying nobody can. I'm just saying it's not for me.
Okay, all right. Just curious. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a website. What is that on the internet? I think it's called like Rule 67 or
Jonathan,
something.
isn't your sister watching this?
That is my sister. Yes.
Just checking. Careful. Not kidding.
She's a grown woman. She can handle discussions. Whatever.
Yeah, but there's just some things I wouldn't want to know about my brother.
Like their search history.
Well, I'm not trying to search up puppet porn. That's not my thing, buddy. No, yeah. This is weird.
I think that's our cue to wrap this one up,
Yep,
guys.
Welcome to the average, but not the average talk.
No, today we're getting weird. Okay, Jonathan, you ready to read us out?
Yes, sir.
All right, that wraps up our look at House 2, the second story, a movie that somehow manages to be a Western, a haunted house flick, and a fantasy adventure all rolled into one.
Yeah, it's wild. It may not be the best movie we've covered this season, but I get why people have such a soft spot for it. It's got this goofy charm that makes it really hard to hate.
Exactly. There's definitely something here worth coming back to, whether it's the whether it's the imagination, the practical effects, or just the unapologetic weirdness of it all.
That's right. And big thanks to Rook for joining us again tonight. Always blessed
Thanks.
having you on, dude.
Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, the movie has a happy ending.
It does.
It does.
Take that how you want.
No, Rick, I love having you. Love having your insights, and it's been great. So thank you to everyone watching or listening, whether you caught us live or you're tuning in after the fact. Don't forget, you can drop your score for House 2 using the link in our bio. Your ratings help shape the community average at the end of every episode.
And now the fun really begins. Next time you see us, since it's October, that means we're diving straight into our 13 nights of Halloween.
13 nights, 13 movies, 13 ways to lose sleep. This year's theme is folk horror, and we've got an incredible lineup that's going to take us from creepy cults to haunted countrysides.
So, make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell, follow us on the socials, whatever it takes to stay in the loop. You're not going to want to miss a single night.
Until then, keep watching, keep rating, and remember, even the weirdest stories deserve a second look.
We'll see you next time for the 13 Nights of Halloween.